What has stuck out to you with the NHL and the NHL trade deadline?
I think what stuck out is that it's just been absolutely wild. Lou Lamoriello got the party started, getting Horvat, and it's just like the floodgates open right after that. Kane's been traded, Tarasenko's been traded, Jonathan Quick has been traded. Every big name you could imagine, like under the sun, is just they're all on different teams. It's crazy to think that, because usually with the NHL trade deadline, up until the actual deadline, it's not, there's some trades, but we don't have like massive names being thrown around and moving places. Tomorrow I'm working tomorrow and I'm expecting like it to be a dull day. Like, who else is left to be traded except maybe Erik Karlsson? But I don't know if that's going to happen, based on what I've heard. But it's just like, this has been probably the craziest and most shocking NHL trade deadline that I can remember. Not even just in my lifetime, just since I started blogging, covering the game. It's been a whirlwind, and frankly, it's not over. But I don't know. I don't know what else is left out there to really go on tonight and tomorrow. But you never know.
So we talk about the gap with the Western Conference and the Eastern Conference this season has been pretty drastic, and this NHL trade deadline definitely proving a lot. As a lot of the Eastern Conference teams got very powerful. All the tri-state teams did a lot with big names. We're talking about teams like the Lightning and other teams like that, the Bruins making trades like that too. But the West, outside of Vegas and maybe Minnesota, weren't as active. So do you think that's going to be a big discrepancy?
I don't know if it's going to be a big discrepancy. The Avalanche are still the Colorado Avalanche. I know they picked up Eric Johnson, who they had last year, won a cup with them. I don't know if discrepancy is the right word. I just think that the teams in the West, who the big dogs are. You have Vegas, you got Colorado, you have Edmonton, you've got the LA Kings. Like, there's a bunch of teams in there. You could throw Seattle in the mix too. They've been good. They just got an overtime win tonight against Detroit, a big win for them. I think discrepancy, I don't know. I just think that the East, because of the wild card chase, because we know who the main teams are that are making the playoffs, it's almost like set in stone. But that wild card and all those teams in the mix, whether it's the Islanders, the Penguins, Ottawa, like everyone is they're doing what they can to kind of to shorten the gap between them and the top dogs in the conference. But I don't think there's a discrepancy. I think, look, the West is still the West. It's still heavy hockey. There's still some really, really dangerous, talented teams out there. You take a team like the Edmonton Oilers. I think they got the message that, okay, we need to add defense, and we need to add maybe another forward or two, because we can't have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl to depend on every single night. Now they go out and get Matthias Ekholm. They go out and get, a few more pieces to add, and they're a legitimate cup contender. I don't know about their goaltending is still a little shaky. I don't know if I would trust Stuart Skinner in a playoff series yet, but, we'll see. But I think that the West, who the teams are. The East is it's going to be a dogfight till the finish. And I just think there were so many good players out West that it's just like the East it was feast or famine. Who was going to get who? And we saw who ended up as the big winners so far the trade deadline. But I don't think there's a discrepancy. I still think once playoff time comes around, it's anybody's game. It's a whole new season. So we'll see where it goes from there. But I just think I don't think the power of balance is shifted. I just think that the West just had so much more to offer, and the East took advantage of it.
As everybody knows, we are talking to NHL.com media producer Rob Taub. Rob, you look at Carolina. Everybody was talking about them making a big move. They were interested in Timo Meier. He goes to New Jersey. They're sitting there. They made a move or two, but nothing really that big. They needed another offensive player, added more firepower to this offense that's not producing. The last 2 weeks, they're not scoring goals. When you look at this team and you look at the Rangers, adding Kane and Tarasenko, New Jersey adding Timo Meier, Boston adding the firepower that they did, Toronto adding the firepower that they did, even Tampa Bay made a couple of moves. What do you think about Carolina? Is Carolina still the team to beat in the Metropolitan Division?
I do think they're still the team to beat. My one concern with Carolina going into the playoffs, and I know you mentioned that they lost to Vegas. They lost to Vegas last night, but and it was a close game. They tied the game, and then they lost on a late goal in the third to Jack Eichel. But I think with the Carolina Hurricanes, for me, it's always come down to goaltending. I still don't know. It's a totally different team and a totally different, totally different stomping grounds. I don't know if I could trust Frederik Andersen to win me a playoff series.